My name is a scientific experiment to figure out what people trust more, what they hear or what they read. And it goes like this. I meet some guy at a party. Hey, my name is Peep, Laja. Here's my card. They read the card and say, Peep, Laja? I just told you how I say my name. So yes, people trust their eyes more than ears. So I'm an optimizer. What I do for a living is I help companies make more money through conversion optimization. And I'll show you how that works. So this is your growth curve. So your company has been around for a while. Things are stable, nothing too excited, right? So what if we could increase our conversion rate to convert more leads, more buyers, whatever, increase our conversion rate a modest 10% a year without increasing any traffic? Your growth curve would look like this, 10% a year. Well, what if we could do a little better? 15% a year, increase conversion rate only 15% a year, a very modest goal. My God, making so much more money year by year. So had you started this years ago, your growth curve would have looked like this. And if your company was around 2009 or something, you might be feeling, yeah. So this is conversion optimization. So as I see it, it's compound interest for growth. And let's talk about it. How do we really do it? So maybe let's imagine we have some bad news. So everybody who has a job is now fired. If you run a business, too bad, you're out of business. But good news, some sucker just offered you a job. You're now head of optimization for this travel website. And your goal is to increase the conversion rate 30% per year. Now the question is, how do you do it? Think about it for a second. You need to increase the conversion rate of this website. How do you do it? Well, if your first reaction is, oh, I will change this and that, I would make that one bigger, I would add a bunch of text there, change the image, you're wrong. As soon as you start thinking in terms of tactics, means you don't really know what you're doing. So how would you go about it is a very important question about conversion optimization, because if we're just jerking around, just trying random stuff, it will not work. All right, so you need a systematic approach, a process to go about conversion optimization, a process that is industry agnostic, that works on any website no matter what they're selling, doesn't matter. If your process does not work across any industry, it's a shitty process. Well, what about best practices? There's a best practice for everything. A home page, a product page, a landing page, blah, blah. Best practice. Well, the problem with best practices is that they're more like common practices. They're like really common, not really best. And the second problem with best practices is best practices where you start, not where you end up. It's not optimization. Well, what about Google? I can Google conversion optimization tactics and find blog posts like this that have 100 conversion optimization tactics. Perfect. I'll get my lift here, just go through these tactics. But wait a minute. So what is the value of 100 conversion tactics? Right, so how do we use those, really? Should we just implement them all at once? Well, your website will look like Link's cars. Some of them will work, some of the tactics will work, some will not work, they'll cancel each other out, and you don't know what is what. Oh, wait a minute. A/B testing, I know. Let's just test every tactic one by one, and then we know which one will work, right? Brilliant. Except, how do we prioritize? Because it's just a list of 100 tactics. Well, let's just test them all one by one. Good. An average A/B test on an average website takes like 4 weeks to run, so it will take us 7.5 years. Well, I don't know. Who has that kind of time to optimize anything? So a list of 100 tactics off of a blog post written by a blogger who's never optimized shit in his life, not very useful. So, hey, what about this checklist? 91-point checklist. Tick off every box, maximum conversions achieved. Well, too bad, also doesn't work. In real life, shit like that, sorry. Well, Amazon is doing pretty fine, right? Do you know the conversion rate for Amazon Prime subscribers? Anybody? It's 74% e-commerce conversion rate. What's your conversion rate? Maybe 5? That's pretty good. But that's 15 times less than Amazon Prime. So is your copy 15 times worse than Amazon? Probably not. Is your design 15 times worse than Amazon design? No. So if you copy Amazon design, copy and layout, and expect to get Amazon-style results, I mean, you're an idiot. Copying a successful industry leader, just ripping off their design and copy, is not how you grow a business. It doesn't work. The reason Amazon is successful is not because of their layout and copy. It's all this other cool stuff that's going on. It has been going on for years and years. What about competitors? They're doing something cool. Let's do that. Well, they copied another competitor who copied another competitor who didn't test shit. So it's like blind leading the blind. No, don't do that. Your competitors don't know what they're doing either. So stop copying your competitors. And let's say you know they tested something. So what's the value of somebody else's A/B test? Somebody else's A/B test is somebody else's solution to somebody else's problem, not your problem. So you need a systematic approach, right? So we talked about all these things that don't work. So what does work? Well, a process. We need to set up a process. And the most important part about conversion optimization and the process is that we need to figure out what actually matters. What matters to our users? If they're looking to buy whatever we're selling, what is their number one thing that they're based a decision on? What matters to them the most? What's second in the list, third, so on and so forth? Do we know those things? So the copy on our website, which parts of those copy actually is interesting and relevant and has an impact and which is completely useless? Half of your copy on your website makes no difference and actually hurting sales. I can bet my money on it. Do you know which part of the copy? You should know. Everything on your website, every web element, you should know its impact on user behavior, on its conversion rate. If you don't know, you're just trying random stuff, spaghetti testing. You need to know what matters. But how do we figure out what matters? Well, there are two ways, testing and research. Well, starting with testing is difficult if we don't know what to test in the beginning, because we haven't, we might have a list of 100 ideas and just random stuff. So testing is great. We should all do testing. Only those of you who have at least 1,000 transactions a month. Otherwise, statistics don't work out. But so research. We need to do research to figure out what the problems are. And in order to do research, we need to gather what? Anybody? Data? Yes. We need to gather data. But you don't want to be this douchebag. You don't need more data. You need better data, data that you can act upon. Let's say I need to cross the road. It's busy, traffic, cars are going. What is the data I need to cross the road safely? Well, I could have all the data in the world, like the angle of the sun rays, how many clouds in the sky, air humidity, what's written on the sign across the street, perfect data. I could have all that. But the only data that matters is there a car coming and how fast? Everything else is useless. Same with your website. If we want to gather data to make better decisions, we don't need all the data. We just need the right amount of data. And so what is the right amount of data? So most of us is like, hey, let's log into Google Analytics and let's see what the data says. Data doesn't say anything. Data is just data. It's static. Right? And there's no such thing as being data-driven. It's all human-driven. Us, we the humans, have to interpret the data and make sense of the data, pull insights out of data, all that stuff. So the first thing we need to do is we need to figure out what is it that we want to know. The start of a good data-driven process is that we have to identify questions. What is it that we want to know? And now we can gather data that might help us answer these questions. And what these questions are very specific to your business. It might be one of these questions. Usually, I'll end up with a list of 100+ questions once I start working on a new website. And it's very, very, very dependent on your business. But you need to have a list of questions, like what is it that we want to know, to figure out what matters. Once we have these questions, we can set up data collection and start getting that data in. But we're all human beings. If we want to see something in the data, an idea we really like, we can torture data long enough and it will confess to anything. The data can tell us whatever we want it to tell us. So have to be careful about our biases. It's important to work in teams. So if somebody says, the data says X, you can call this bullshit. Like, okay, so Research Excel is a data gathering, analyzing framework that I have used myself for years and years and years, and then I made it public a couple of years ago. And it's a very easy way to think about data gathering and analysis. So essentially, our goal is to gather actionable data that we can turn into test hypotheses or into changes to make on the website. So what it is, we're gathering 6 types of data inputs that will feed into this central pool of insights. And I'll quickly walk through this model. So first thing, before we do anything, we need to make sure that your stuff is actually working. You think your front-end developers did a good job? They probably didn't. You need to double check everything. So easy way, you go into your analytics tool, maybe it's Google Analytics, maybe it's something else. You look at your conversion rate per browser version. Let's say Internet Explorer 11 converts at 5%, Internet Explorer 9 converts at 2%. Whoa, more than 2 times difference. Stuff's not right with Internet Explorer 9. So cross-browser compatibility is #1 way a lot of companies are losing money. So you need to find those bugs. Maybe it's a slight UX issue, maybe it's a nasty browser bug. You need to find all those things. And as well as your conversion rate per device, all that stuff. So you need to fix all those issues. You can have the most persuasive website in the world, but if it doesn't work properly with the specific device and browser combination I'm on right now, doesn't matter. And site speed, if it's slow, I'm sure there's a talk about site speed in the conference. So that's #1. #2 is we need to do a walkthrough of the website on each device category separately, so desktop, tablet, mobile. And we walk through each page on your website, page by page, and we assess each page against a set of criteria, like relevancy. So people who came to this page, does it meet their expectations? Is it what they were looking for? If there's an ad that they clicked on, is there a message match? Is it obvious that they're in the right place? Does it clarity of the value proposition? Do they understand right away, within 1 second, where am I? What can I do here? Why should I do it? Most people comparison shop. You need to have some unique selling arguments on your main landing pages. So if you run an e-commerce site, not just the homepage, product and category pages, a bunch of the traffic will land on those pages. And motivation. Every single page on your website should have one most wanted action. So on the product page, add to cart. On the cart page, proceed to checkout, and so forth, right? So what are we doing on each page to increase user motivation to take that specific action? And on the other hand, what's causing friction? What's holding them back from taking that action? So essentially, we're walking through the website page by page and looking for what's wrong with that page. But doing this assessment is kind of subjective. So we haven't found the truth. We have only identified areas of interest. And now we have to gather qualitative and quantitative information to kind of validate or invalidate some of our observations. So next thing, jump into Google Analytics or whatever you're using. And I mean, analytics is huge, right? We could talk about it for 17 days. Main things for our conversion optimization purposes is to identify where is the money leaking out? On which specific pages? So let's say if you run an e-commerce site, we have home, category, product, cart, and all these checkout steps, right? So category to product page flow. How many of the people are dropping out from that flow? Do we know the exact number? That's a number we have to measure and improve every single month. Product page visit to add to cart click. Are you tracking that metric? If you're not tracking, you have no idea how to improve your product page. Cart to checkout step 1, and so on. Where is the most of the money leaking out? Typically, the closer to the final confirmation, the bigger the impact if you optimize that. Which segments are performing better or worse than the average? What are the people who convert way better than your average user? What are they doing different on your website? Maybe they interact with the feature. So that means also that every single click, every single scroll, hover, everything, what happens in the DOM, we need to be tracking. Google Tag Manager, your best friend. Of course, those who are developers, congratulations. You can just set it up and go. For those of us mere mortals, Heap Analytics, it just records everything without needing to bother your developer friends. Records everything. You can create any kind of funnel using any action. So show me people who use this filter on category page, and then they went to the product page, and they enlarged the photo, and then they removed something from their cart later. Show me the conversion rate for those people. And once you start looking at those kind of correlations, which actions lead to higher conversions, we can think of it as, hey, maybe it's correlation, maybe there's some causality there. How can we get more people to take that action to increase overall conversion rate? And mouse tracking. So this is the mouse clicks, mouse scrolls, attention heat maps you've all seen in Hotjar, Crazy Egg, whatever. Not very useful. Sorry. Well, the mouse hover is not useful because, correlation where people look and where they hover with their mouse is not there. You guys read blog posts, right? Do you go with your mouse like this, line by line? No. So forget about that. Scroll map, yes, helpful. You can also get the data in Google Analytics if you set it up in Tag Manager. Helpful if you have long pages, because sometimes key stuff is just not visible. Click maps, again, mildly useful. It's great to impress CEOs and sell them on some pictures, but analytics will have a way better page summary, navigation information is way better. So mouse tracking, do it. The most important part here is session replays. So we find a page, lots of people are dropping out. We have no idea why. So I usually just watch session replays of people interacting with the page and see what they're doing or not doing. Once I was working on a 5-step flow, resume building flow. Step 3, bunch of people dropping out. I have no idea. I watch the videos and I see how people are filling out the forms until they reach the question, 3 references mandatory. And people don't have them. Abandon the process. Told the client, oh yeah, we don't need the references. Woo. Remove those fields, conversions up, everybody happy. So very useful session replays. Qualitative service. So quantitative stuff, analytics and heat maps and all that stuff tells us what is happening where and how much. Qualitative tells us why. So this is where we talk to our actual users, people who bought from us and people who are considering buying from us. 2 types of surveys you should run. One, if somebody buys from your site, signs up, whatever, take the primary action. Immediately or within a few days, send them an email survey and incentivize it. We'll give you some free goodies. If you fill out the survey, ask open-ended questions only, no multiple choice. And you want to understand what was it that they experienced right before making a purchase. And the answers from these people really matter because they actually gave you money. So it's like the right target audience. You ask them, what kind of doubts and hesitations did you have before buying? What kind of questions did you have that you couldn't find answers to? What was the one thing that nearly stopped you from buying? Who are you? And all those things. And then you can figure out what is the friction they experience in your sales process. And on the other hand, when you use a tool like Hotjar or something like this, put polls on your key pages. Not enough people add products to cart on your product page. Put a poll on the website asking, what's holding you back from adding this product or buying this product right now? And you can expect 2 to 4% response rate. And if you let it run for a bunch of time, depending on the traffic, you want to get in 100, 200 responses. And you start seeing trends of what's holding people back, really valuable information. And then we have user testing, services like usertesting.com. You can also do it in-house at your office or with Skype. So basically, we recruit somebody who's in our target audience. We give them tasks on our website, and they have to think out loud as they're completing these tasks. My 2 or 3 main recommendations for user testing is, number 1, give them a highly specific task. Find a pair of green jeans in size 34 under $50. That's on sale right now. Highly specific. Because some people on your website have highly specific goals. And then you observe how they go about it. Are they able to find it easily? Are they struggling with it? Second, give them a really broad task. It's your spouse's or whoever's birthday next week. Find something they would like and see how they go about it. Just observe. And don't believe anything they say. Just observe what they do. Because I see again and again people struggling, like they spend 15 minutes trying to check out. And then post survey, they say, oh yeah, everything was fine. Maybe the background color should be green. But it's like, yeah, don't believe what people say. Only observe what they do if they're struggling with something or not. And of course, let them go through the full funnel, have them complete the checkout, use a dummy credit card, or just have them enter fake credit card numbers until they get an error message. Really valuable information. And once you go through this process, you actually know what the actual problems on your actual website are. Not a list of 100 random taxes. You have 100 highly specific problems you've identified for your highly specific website. And now we need to categorize this problem. Some of the ideas, the problems we find, it's like, obvious problem, but we don't know what the right solution is. We need to test it. Some of the things are, we don't have enough data, or maybe the data is inaccurate. It's instrumentation. Let the developers fix that. Some problems are complicated problems with no obvious solution, so we need to gather the team and hypothesize how can we fix this problem. So one of my clients had selling pool parts. Main question was, I don't know if this pool part fits my pool. You know, how can we fix the problem on our website? There's no obvious answer, 100 ways to do it. So get the developers and designers together, discuss. Some no-brainer issues, font size 7 pixels, gray on a gray background, nobody can read that. Just make it bigger and darker. And sometimes we don't know what's going on. And we rank every issue from 1 to 5 stars, so we have a prioritization model. Usually they use Google Spreadsheet, so it will look kind of like this. What's the issue? What's the category of the issue? Why is this an issue? What should we do about it? And what's the ranking of this issue? What should we start tackling first, second, and so on? And usually when I go through this process, I have like 100 ideas or something. And once I deplete the list, I do another round of conversion research. So it's a systematic, repeatable, teachable process. And now, once we identify problems, we can talk about solutions. People don't read text on our website and they still don't know what we do. Let's try live chat. Let's answer their questions. Or, I can't understand what the dress would look like on me. Let's put dresses on models. Let's do some product photography here. Or I can't understand what your software looks like. Let's have more screenshots. You know, that's a tactic, more screenshots. So the overall conversion process is we conduct research. From the research, we build hypotheses for changes or tests. We build the treatments, we test the treatments, we analyze the treatments, and over and over and over and over again. It's a never-ending process. Conversion optimization is never done. Compound interest for growth, remember. But just because we identify a problem doesn't mean we know the right solution. So for instance, here's a client site we worked on. E-commerce site selling allergy relief products. So in our research, qualitative research, we discovered that when they start buying these types of products, they come with a condition already. Like they're like, I need something for asthma or whatever I have. So we built this drop-down where it was like, find relief from and choose your problem. So the question is anybody using this feature? And if they are using this feature, are they more likely to convert, less likely to convert? No difference. So run an A/B test. Actually, first Google Analytics, we look at it. So 10% of the people, 10.8% of the people are using this feature. And the conversion rate for that segment is 13.95% versus 3.5. It's like 4 times difference. What we don't know is this is correlation or causation. So the question is, can we get more people to use this feature and see if the uplift persists? So, okay, let's make it orange so it stands out better. Yeah, obvious, right? So run an A/B test and minus 22%. It's like, what? Is our hypothesis wrong? What's the matter? And then we looked at the data. Actually, the percentage of people using this feature did not change. It was still 10%. It's just the 90% who didn't use it, they were just bothered by this orange color. So we tried different treatments. So we put a list like this and a list like this, and then 5% more revenue. So iterative testing. Let's say you figure out that your checkout page, maybe there's a problem with your checkout page and people are worried about their credit card security on your checkout page. How many ways are there to improve the perception of security on your checkout page? Infinite! So if you try one idea and it fails, there are many more to try. Don't give up, but you need data. So, we've been working on this, things are great. So this is hard work, yes, absolutely it is. It requires skill, yes it does. You need to practice, 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 as with everything in life. Is it worth doing? Well, remember those growth charts? Very well worth doing. So this guy, Ronnie Coleman, was a bodybuilder, six-time Mr. Olympia. And he said, everybody wants to be a bodybuilder, but nobody wants to lift no heavy-ass weights. And it's same in conversion optimization. Everybody wants more money, but nobody wants to do the heavy-ass conversion research. Well, you got to do it, my friends. You got to do it. So 5 points to remember from my talk. Process, no tactics. The most important thing is discovering what actually matters. For data, start with questions, only then seek the data. Iterative testing for the win, and you need to do the heavy-ass lifting. And everything that I've been just talking about is written at great length in my book. If you send me an email, I'll give it to you for free. Thank you so much.